Welcome back to ET Studios. I'm Himanshi Tiwari and we are joining you from the Great India Retail Summit 2025. Now, retail in India is no longer just about shopping. It is about experiences, lifestyle and community. And as consumer expectations evolve, retail destinations must adapt to create immersive environments that go beyond transactions. So what's next for India's shopping and lifestyle hubs? To break it down, we have with us three industry stalwarts. Anuj Kejriwal, CEO and MD of ANAROCK Retail. Welcome, Anuj.
Thank you so much.
We also have with us Pushpa Bector, Senior Executive Director at DLF Retail. Welcome, Pushpa.
Thank you.
And of course, Mohammed Ali, CEO of Prestige Group. Welcome, Mohammed. Well, thank you, lady and gentlemen, for joining us today. Let's drive straight into the discussion. To set the stage, to kick things off, let's start with a little fun thing. Like if you have to sort of sum up the future of retail destinations in India in just 3 words, how would you do that? Starting with Anuj.
I think you covered one which is experiences. I think two, I would probably say treat it like social infrastructure. And I think three, I think what's really going to hold good in the future is, how the demand and supply can actually partner with each other. So I think partnership to me will probably be the third word.
All right.
So those are my three.
What do you think, Pushpa?
Well, 3 things. Immersive experiences, experiential retailing really. Mixed-use developments is a huge trend. And the third is food is the new fashion.
Okay, food is the new fashion here, it is. And what do you think, Mohammed?
One would be dwelling into new dimensions of consumption, because if you see most of the malls that have been built in India have a lot of wardrobe in them. So about 80% is wardrobe, stuff that goes inside wardrobe. So we want to reduce that. So we want to enlarge the consumptions, the sphere of consumption to a larger extent. That is something that we want to develop. Second is, as she mentioned, Pushpa mentioned, immersive experience. Towards this, we are working towards a biophilic environment. So we are doing a lot of research and a lot of study to get biophilic environments into, there are 15 biophilic elements, so we are seeing how to get them. Changi Airport is one example. Bangalore T2 Airport is another example, who have really developed those biophilic environments. So that is something that we are working. And third for me is, from a technology point of view, I would like to focus on social listening, because that's one aspect where a lot of conversations are happening.
Yeah.
And then for us, the most important, we have 3 stakeholders in our business. One is developers, and I consider him to be a developer as well, because he's with us. Second is the retailers who are selling, and third is the consumer, the most important is the consumer, because they decide what happens, whether it works or doesn't work. So to understand them more carefully, we want to listen to them. So there are technologies which are available. We are trying to see how we can get a little more deeper to understanding customers, and social listening can help us know what customers are thinking and talking about.
All right, we'll talk more about it later in the later part of our panel. But as Pushpa said, mixed-use developments, right? And I'll come back to you, Anuj. From traditional malls to mixed-use developments and experience-driven spaces, how do you see retail destinations evolving to meet the demands of the consumer? As he was also talking about that the consumer needs to be satisfied first.
I mean, very clearly the consumer is really the end winner, right? Everything that you're creating, whether traditional malls, and that's the best that could have been done at that point of time, was done keeping the consumer in mind. Like Pushpa said, the world wants to move towards mixed-use developments, but not everywhere do you get an opportunity of a mixed-use development. I mean, if you ask me, take DLF's example. To me, while Cyber Hub was never a mixed-use development, but it actually got built into being a mixed-use development because of all the offices that were around it.
It's part of that
So, according to me, there are not going to be too many opportunities in the top 6, 7, 8 cities to do very, very large mixed-use developments. I think at some point of time, you will have to choose locations which can eventually take you to that point. because there's going to be a certain captive audience, a certain asset class,
Yeah.
categories of assets that are going to get built around your asset and also in your asset. I think from a consumer standpoint, just given how geographies are increasing, how infrastructure is getting laid out, distances between places are increasing. A couple of years back, we had this whole terminology which said, shop, work, play, or live, work, and play.
Yeah.
I mean, these mixed-use developments only help you to live within a certain radius. You can live there, your offices can be close by, your shopping and your daily needs can be met with. Plus, like we're saying, we can put experiences into different centers. So you can create an entire ecosystem for a consumer within a limited given space. And I think that's what consumers are actually looking for. Which is why, whether you're looking at a traditional mall, and I'm defining a traditional mall for this conversation as a standalone asset. Why are developers going into residential catchments or large office catchments and building these centers is because technically they want everything around that asset to actually support that asset, which becomes captive.
Yeah.
And then you have radiuses which are 5 or 8 kilometers, depending on the size of the asset where consumers are going to come from. So I think from an experience standpoint, extremely critical that we all do something different in each of our centers. Otherwise every center along the road is going to start to look the same. And probably I think the two people sitting on my left here, have done it and pioneered it to a large extent. You should actually take this question to Ali, and we decided, both of us, that we're going to take a dig at him. But he speaks very highly about these 5 senses all the time. So you should pick this up with Ali at some point of time.
What is these 5 senses about, Ali?
Yeah, see, a consumer, when we speak about consumerism, we speak about supply chain, we speak about technology, we speak about so many things. What we have to also understand is there's a human side to it. That's the most basic form, that at the end of it, all consumers, including us, we are human beings first. And the way we process anything that is thrown at us, an information, a product, anything that is thrown at us, we absorb it with our 5 senses, which is sense of the 5 senses that human beings have: see, touch, taste, hear, and so whatever consumption that takes place, people process through the 5 senses, and very little has been done by the retailers or from the malls to really capture the essence of consumerism with the 5 senses. So hence, that's why I keep speaking about it.
It's such an interesting take, and I would come to you, Pushpa, now. You all have been talking about experience, and shopping, rightly so, is not just about buying, right? It is also about experience now. So how are you sort of reimagining DLF malls to be as both lifestyle and entertainment hub?
Absolutely. So, let me talk about this in 2 aspects. One is how we are programming and how we are operating. By programming, I mean planning, right?
Yeah.
So let's start with that. Now, a mixed-use development that Anuj was talking about now. So what it does is it lends to a planning programming where, for example, we are opening 2 plazas right in the middle of DLF Phase 5. So people are living there. The highest per capita income is right there. They're living there. They're working at Cyber City or one of our, Cyber City and Atrium Place, etc. And they're shopping right there. So it's a whole ecosystem play that you're trying to create. And an ecosystem play means that we can, as developers, invest in a rapid metro, in various other aspects. So that is one ecosystem play. Once we get that play right, then we can get into the experiential part of it, which is really, when we started out, and I remember clearly 15 years back, we said we want, when a customer comes in, they should smell the right things. So we went into getting mall sensories right, With you will see all the AC ducts have got a certain sense of smell. Then it's a certain sense of vision. What do they see? Is it therapeutic for them? Is it calming them or exciting them? So different zones do different things. Some zones we want them to calm, and some zones we want them to get excited. So the lighting plays a play, sound plays a play, etc., etc. Then we also talk about, you know, as I said, food is the new fashion, so the tongue
Yeah,
has to
yeah.
definitely tingle,
Yeah.
and it has to definitely get, you know, a clear treat. So a mall space is also a space where today, beyond all those things were vanilla for us now. The customer thinks, wo to hai hi hai, you know, in a mall when I go, all this is. But are we creating a social ecosystem? Are we creating communities? So today our focus in DLF Malls is to create micro communities. We have marathons. Mall of India is a great example where we have frequent every weekend. There are different kinds of community elements that happen. Either there's a marathon, or there is, say, a health camp, or there is an element where children come together to do an art collab. So there's something or the other, even from building a community point of view. And weekends, how do you attract Gen Zers? Then you really create, you know, maybe concerts. We have seen live performances. We did the Van Gogh show, which was an immersive experience. And we had, you know, Ali, around 60,000 people coming in
Wow.
over a space of 1.5 months. And it was not even inside the mall, it was in Cyber City. So what I'm trying to tell you is, consumers hungry for newer kind of things that we bring to the table. The more we adopt and evolve, the customer is ready.
Yeah.
Got it.
Talking about that, you know, you spoke about the social ecosystem and communities, and moving to you, Mohammed, you know, retail in India is so diverse, and each region has its own consumer behavior, right? So on that note, how does Prestige Group approach this while designing retail destination spaces in India?
So, see, there are two parts to the consumption story. One is the people part, and when you talk about people, there are again two parts. So there's one information that India is the most populous country in the world. So, but if you go one level deeper, this information becomes very interesting because it's also the youngest population in the world.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you go one more level deeper, it gets fascinating to know that it's the largest middle class population in the whole world. So when you take this information, so we have a very young population who are middle class and growing, and with the new tax regime, they have more money to spend.
Yeah.
So where are they going to go? So when they want to spend, they want to experience, they will come to malls. So that's why those footfalls, what we are seeing in our malls, anything that we do, people are responsive. I mean, they immediately react, and then there's a traffic jam. So people are looking forward for these experiences, looking forward, and consumption is happening.
Yeah.
Consumption is not something that we are talking about. So consumption is not something that we want to plan for. We want to plan for these celebrations where people as a whole celebrate. So one is, yes, mixed use. We are building 10 malls as we speak. We have 10 malls on the floor, close to about 8 million. Of the 10 malls, 9 malls are part of a mixed use development. So that's the game, because we have another element here. While we are talking about population and so on and so forth, this infrastructure.
Yeah.
So the infrastructure is not supporting. It's not really supportive. It's a task. It's an investment that a person makes to travel to a mall or any experience, because he has to, it's time, effort, money that you go in, and so hence this helps. These mixed use developments help because the convenience is there. See, shopping is a habit, and when it comes to habit, there are two parts to it. One, it's difficult to break and difficult to make.
Yeah.
So when we open a new mall in a new space, in a new location, we are asking people to break an old habit and inculcate a new habit. So that habit formation will happen when there's ease of access. So hence having this mixed use development and having the ease of access, because the more easy it is, like mobile phones, like why is online shopping is growing in number, but of course it cannot come anywhere close to the offline shopping. But still, because of the ease of convenience. Why social media? Every 5 minutes a person has to touch a social media, and there are people with every minute they have to touch a social media page. That's because it's the ease of consumption. So it's very interesting that's happening in India, where people are looking inwards for consumption. We have brands like Louis Vuitton and all that doing sales on par anywhere else in the world. And then more and more brands are coming in, and the population is just going to grow, and the middle class segment is going to get richer. So consumption story is very interesting. So we're trying to blend them together and take this opportunity to provide high quality places.
Yeah. No, thank you so much for that answer. You know, as disposable incomes are increasing, of course, consumption is also increasing. But I would slightly move towards the technology part now. We have spoken a lot about customer experience. Let's talk about customer engagement now.
Sure.
You know, and moving to you, Anuj. Technology is a very big part of retail
Absolutely.
landscape, right? Be it AI-driven personalization or phygital experiences or whatnot. So how do you or how can we sort of integrate technology to enhance the customer engagement?
Sure, that's a great question. So, I mean, to me, customer engagement is going to become key now. Let me just take a step back, and both Pushpa and Ali may agree to this at some point. You'll have malls which will at some point of time start overlapping the same customer base. Uh, in any mall today, in a similar micro market, you'll have about 60 to 65% of the tenants
Yeah.
who are again going to be overlapping each other. Now, all these tenants are going to give a similar experience to their customers. I mean, given size, some of their stores may differ, but the technology that they're using in one center against the other is going to be pretty similar. Now, what's the differentiating factor over here? I think there are two or three differentiating factors very clearly. One, like Ali said, and we covered it. I think convenience is going to become key. So before we reach technology, how do you make it convenient for the consumer to get in and out? Once you've cleared for that layer, I think the second layer is really technology, and this is not technology what the brands bring on the table. I think this is going to get differentiated by the technology really that mall developers bring on the table, because that's going to differentiate one center from another center. Then you'll reach a point where I think most mall developers and all A-grade mall developers will put technology into their centers. What's the next step from there? I think the next step from there really from technology is going to be that how do you start customizing for your customer? Now, very importantly, like we said, a lot of us are building mixed-use developments. Now, what's the really big advantage of a mixed-use development? Pushpa mentioned, Ali mentioned that, in one of the plazas that she's building, her consumers are going from a DLF building into a DLF office and then shopping at a DLF center. Now, everyone has the data and the technology for what's happening with the consumer once he comes into the center. But I think the added advantage that all of us have here is that can they pick up data of everything he's doing outside the center? What are his daily needs? Where does he go to? Where does he work? How does he spend his time? And use that data to actually customize his experience when he's coming into the center. Now, whether that's lighting, whether that's sound, whether that's smell, or the five senses, that's the only next evolution beyond technology that you're going to make to really engage the consumer. Otherwise, at some point of time, 5 years, 10 years from now, it's again going to become a level playing field unless you start to differentiate on the customization bit. So that's really my take on where the market will move on technology.
All right, as you were giving the example of DLF, Gurgaon has truly become a DLF city for that matter, right? But let's now move on to sustainability. We have very limited time with us, but sustainability is also a buzzword
Absolutely.
these days, right? So, Pushpa, what do you think? Are the retail consumers in India now seeking sustainable retail experiences, and how are you sort of integrating green practices into your malls?
So, great question. We in DLF are, I would like to say, the front runners in this, because we have the world's largest Sword of Honors, and also LEED Platinum buildings, as well as zero waste. And we try to have a conscious effort in using technology to reduce carbon footprint. So technology can be used in the back-end channels far more, and reduce the carbon footprint. So we do believe that we should walk the talk on that as leaders in this space, and we've been doing that. The second aspect is also Gen Zers. Their shopping habits is really based on, say, they pick a brand where they see the origin story is right.
Yeah.
Today that is a reality. So brands have also got to be that much more aware of creating their origin stories, or they will lose the customer. Their loyalty is really based on narratives and authenticity, rather than flashing a brand tag, because they are a more evolved consumer. And to last point, as far as technology is concerned, you know, Anuj, you'll be amazed that in a new project, we're actually using certain AI-based technology to understand where is the customer currently shopping. So we are opening Summit
Exactly,
Plaza.
yeah.
We are understanding where are they currently shopping, what are they doing, which are their brand preferences. I know it all before I start curation for that
Exactly,
property.
yeah.
So technology is here to stay, but in the retail space, I think it will be back end and then come to front end.
Yeah.
All right, on that note, now towards the end, Ali, I would like to ask you, see, retail, there are a lot of things in retail that are so big at this point of time. What are those big opportunities you see in the retail space currently?
See, if you see the per capita retail that is available in India, it is the least. And then US will be about 10 times higher. So if I take only the middle class, the consumers, the real consumers, the serious consumers who are consuming, and divide by the quality retail space that we have, so we have a long way to go.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a lot of ground to cover is what I'm saying. So we would like to take this opportunity of providing people quality environments. And there's a lot of education which is happening here. If from whatever we have discussed here, people are not coming to malls to just shop or consume or spend money. They're coming to connect. It's a community connect. So they learn something, they decide what they have to do, they figure out something, they understand something, they find something exciting, and then they research more. So, and many things are happening across the malls, across different fields. In terms of wildlife, a lot of things are happening, conventions is happening. Art, a lot of work is happening as far as arts are concerned. Malls have become hubs for art, artists to come and showcase and exhibit, and they have been there. The consumer goods, even the cars and automobiles have always been part of malls. But even for all these green initiative and carbon footprint, malls are becoming platforms where people are coming and speaking about it, because we get 1 million footfalls a month. So that's how much, and that to a very young crowd, and so hence that becomes a platform. So we would like to create these quality places as the demand suggests. We are not looking at tier 2 cities right now, because we had malls in tier 2 cities, so we are currently focusing on tier 1, but maybe we will go to tier 2 as well. But this is the opportunity, and then we would like to create. And another opportunity that we would like to embark is to create spaces which are comparable to anywhere else in the world. That is another initiative that we are doing. All the malls that we have, all the developments, whether it's residential, office, we are using the best in the world. I mean, the architects from across the world, from US, from Europe, from Singapore. And then we are using different architects. So thereby everybody brings a different element. So we're not sticking with one theme or, or one thought process. So our thought process is changing. Every time we do a new project, we work with a new architect, we learn something.
Yeah.
So we are trying to create the best spaces that can be compared to anywhere else in the world.
You know, thank you so much for these insights, and I would like to end this panel by just one question. I'll take one line each from you. Sure. Are we now looking at hyper-specialized malls in India? Starting with you, Anuj, just one line. What do you think?
So I don't think it'll be hyper-specialized malls. I think what we're looking at, hybrid centers in India.
Hybrid centers.
I mean, it's not going to be targeted that, okay, this is absolute luxury and this is absolute entertainment and F&B.
All right, what do you think, Pushpa?
I think I agree with him that it can't be hyper-specialized, but the location will decide what is the focus.
Okay.
It would be very, very location-centric. Instead of giving one answer, there was a time when it was cookie cutter, that no longer holds.
What's your take on this shift?
I could say we could focus on hyper-personalized zones. So if I have to focus on beauty, but I would like to go deeper, instead of having becoming a jack of all, have something of everything, probably choose a few categories and go deep in each category. So if I have to choose beauty and electronics, depending upon the zone, depending upon the catchment, I would like to go deeper in that. So we will create this hyper-personalized zones where anything and everything that people can think of as far as cosmetics is concerned, or beauty is concerned, or electronics is concerned, can be packaged and presented.
All right, thank you so much
Super.
for this discussion. It was really insightful. Thank you for being a part of this discussion, you all.
Pleasure.
And thank you so
from-
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you so
from
very much.
immersive experiences to tech-driven innovations, the future of retail in India is exciting and full of opportunities. As our panelists shared, retail destinations are no longer just about transactions, but about transformation. A big thank you to all my panelists for being a part of this discussion. And that's all from this discussion at GIRS 2025, brought to you by ET Studios. Now stay tuned for more engaging conversations.